This is a September update on my 112-gallon Average Reef. Well, the past month I've been pretty busy raising my baby clownfish. I certainly haven't been neglecting this tank. That being said, there really haven't been any new additions, so most of this footage is going to be from the top down. It gives a different look and a different perspective on the tank. While it certainly looks full from the front, when you view it from the top, you really see just how jam-packed things actually are. The start of this footage is with a cell phone since I don't have a wide-angle lens. This does make things appear a little bit more blue than real life, but it also shows just how big some of the colonies are, in particular this green leather coral. You can also see that many years ago I cut out my black center brace and replaced it with a clear acrylic strip. While it's pretty dirty here, you can still see that some light gets through it, and the shadowing is nowhere near as bad as if it had still been the black plastic. In addition to my 3 Kessel lights, I have 2 T5s in the front and 2 black boxes between the Kessel lights as well. The rest of this footage is with my DSLR, and this color balance is pretty accurate to how it looks in real life. I was pretty surprised to see how many corals I can no longer see by looking from the top down. They're obscured by other corals. This of course means lots of things are getting shaded out, but fortunately most of my corals are not high light demanding corals. The back corner is particularly packed with pallies growing up the base of this acro and pom-pom xena all around it, all while being touched by this big green leather. My pink Goniopora has really gotten huge. This started as a small frag and now it's bigger than a softball. It's really growing well. Unfortunately, it is obscuring the smaller rainbow Goniopora frag underneath it. I'm trying to get a shot of it here, but I realize you can just barely see it, so I've included a side shot as well. This piece has a lot of nice red, orange, and yellow in it. It is the short polyp variety, so it will never get quite as big and puffy, but hopefully it won't be too long till it's encrusting further on the rock. Of course, there's not much rock for it to encrust onto. The other thing you really see from the top down is all the varieties of coralline algae I have in the tank. Particularly on this tile the chalice is on, there are some reds and maroons and brown coralline algae in addition to the regular pink and purple stuff. Generally I do try and scrape as much coralline algae off as I can, but obviously not off the bottom of the tank. The other big piece in my tank is this Gorgonian. Fortunately, it's thin branched, so a lot of light does sneak through it. It has been getting stung a little bit by the leather coral, so I really should cut it back. Also, you can pull it straight up and it will be a good 4, 5, 6 inches out of the water. I tried to get a shot of the dendros from the top, but you can barely see them now. Even my new Acanthophilia, only half of it is visible from the top. This of course is another coral that doesn't really need a lot of light. While I wouldn't necessarily say it's growing since I got it, it's certainly a lot happier, which means it gets a lot puffier and expands a lot bigger than when I first got it. In the corner, this blue lepto has really grown nicely. That's all on the glass there. It's actually growing in between the rockwork even. If I had more glass bottom, I would certainly think about having more of these kind of corals to cover it. Over here you can see my Cyphastria was stung. I'm not really sure what did that. Nothing is actually touching it. Maybe it was a part of this toadstool. I almost forgot to get a shot of this toadstool. It's the only one I have that's different. While it's not quite a weeping willow, it does have really long polyps, and it's a nice tan color. Of course, the neon ones are brighter, but they reproduce like crazy. I have probably 30 frags of these, and as you can see, there's a hole forming, so there's more frags on the way. I almost never actually cut it. They usually just drop frags itself. In the corner, my branching Cyphastria is really doing well. This has been a real slow grower for me, but it seems like it's getting there. Finally, some shots of the back. This just shows how little room these corals actually have. I certainly could use a bigger tank, but I don't plan on upgrading anytime soon. I could also cut this stuff back, but actually my frag tank is pretty jam-packed as well these days. I certainly like the full look, but I don't want things to be too out of control. Corals like this Pectinia you don't even see from the top anymore, so I included this quick shot of it from the front. Eventually I'll have to figure something out. If I leave things too long, everything is just going to grow into each other. I guess some minor cutbacks are in order, but otherwise things will probably stay jam-packed for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching, and happy reefing!